What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going over my first of two different Gauntlet builds I'm going to be showcasing for you guys. And this first one is going to be for softcore, and then the following video will be for a hardcore build. Now, as always, all of that gameplay footage you guys seen at the beginning of the video is done without any unique tuning stones, no uber uniques, no elixirs or incense, and no snapshotting as well. Also, you can run this build in higher tier content, however, I wouldn't recommend it as the build is quite squishy, and that's exactly why it's going to be my softcore character, not my hardcore character for this season. However, this build does a ton of damage, and it's very efficient at clearing a lot of enemies rather quickly and moving on to the next pack of enemies. And for that reason, I feel like this build is going to be pretty solid for the Gauntlet and potentially one of the better builds this season. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the build. So this is a hybrid build. It is a Shred Lightning Storm build, as you can see here on our assigned skills. We're also using Trample and then all three of the companions because we will be running the Shepherd's aspect. Then for our Spirit Boons, we're running Weirdness on the Deer, Avian Wrath on the Eagle. We're picking up Energize on the Wolf because there really isn't any decent boon for this build. And then we're Spirit Bonded into the Snake and we're going Overload just for a little bit extra AoE damage. And then we're also picking up Masochistic just to give us a little bit more survivability. Now onto the equipment, and I did not add a lot of affixes here because this is a pretty strict build for Gauntlet. So on the helmet, we're running Tempest Roar. On the chest, we're using Mad Wolf's Glee. On the gloves, we're using the Unsung Ascetic Wraps. On the pants, we're using Tebow's Will. On the boots, we're running Ghostwalker aspect. On the weapon, we're using the Waxing Gibbous, and that's exactly why this is a hybrid Shred Lightning Storm build, so we can proc the Waxing Gibbous with Shred and then get infinite crits with our Lightning Storm. Then on the amulet, we're running the Shepherd's aspect. On our ring, we're running the Hunter's Zenith ring, so we have infinite trample as well, so we can maintain our Tebow's Will buff. And then on our second ring, we're running the Lightning Dancer's aspect, and this is really great because it adds a massive amount of AoE damage and clears packs of enemies in the blink of an eye. Then on our offhand, we're running the aspect of Stampede. However, another good aspect here would be the Stormclaw aspect, just so that way you can get that guaranteed proc on your Gibbous after using Shred, and that makes it a lot more reliable until you farm up your unique tuning stones. Moving on to our gear affixes, on our amulet, we're running Ranks of Envenom passive, Ranks of Quick Shift passive, Movement Speed, and Shrine Buff duration. And the number one reason why I'm running Shrine Buff duration on my amulet as well as my boots is because I do believe that there is a chance that those bonus shrines that they're going to be putting in the Gauntlet might actually be affected by Shrine Buff duration. So the shrine that's going to be giving us bonus points after killing enemies could possibly be affected by the Shrine Buff duration affix. So I definitely want to go ahead and test that out. So I would recommend having that on your build until you find out whether it works or not. On our ring, we're going to be running Critical Strike Chance, damage to close and damage to distant enemies, as well as critical strike damage. And then on our boots, we're running movement speed for 4 seconds after killing an elite, Shrine Buff duration, and all stats. And then on our totem, we're running Crit Strike Chance, total armor, all stats, and willpower. Down to our gems, we're running emeralds on the weapon, rubies on the armor, and we are going to be running skulls on the jewelry just because we need a little bit more armor here, and we can go without a few % of resistances just to get that extra armor. Now for the Seneschal construct, we're running Tempest as well as the efficiency support, breaking support, and resource support tuning stones. And then we're also running Flash of Adrenaline with the tactical support, duration support, and safeguard tuning stones. Now down here at the very bottom is a brief summary of the build, and really there isn't much here because there isn't really much to change. However, if you do manage to get the Evernight tuning stone, go ahead and swap out your efficiency support for that tuning stone, and if you do manage to get Genesis, swap out Safeguard so you can have that big multiplicative damage bonus when your Seneschal uses Flash of Adrenaline. Moving on to our skill tree, we're running 1 point Claw into Enhanced Claw, but that's really just to open up our core skill tree. So then we're grabbing 5 points into Lightning Storm into Primal Lightning Storm, and then 5 points into Shred into Primal Shred. Then we're grabbing 1 point Predatory Instinct, and then 3 points Digigrade Gate just to get that extra movement speed. Then we're going down to our defensive tree and picking up 3 points Ancestral Fortitude just to make up for that resistance loss because we're running skulls on our jewelry pieces. Down to our companions, we're going 1 point Wolves, 3 points Nature's Reach, 1 point Poison Creeper, and then 1 point Ravens, and then going into Brutal Ravens so we can buff up our Shepherd's aspect. Down to the Wrath tree, we're picking up 1 point into Trample, then we're going 1 point Elemental Exposure, 1 point Charged Atmosphere, 3 points Electric Shock, as well as 3 points Bad Omen. After that, we're going to be moving on down to Neurotoxin for a point, grabbing up Toxic Claws for 1 point, and then 3 points into Envenom. Then going down to our ultimate skill tree, we're grabbing 3 points Defiance, 3 points Natural Disaster, and then 3 points Resonance. After that, we're going to pick up 3 points Quick Shift. Now, this is optional. You can always pick up 1 point Quick Shift and then grab 2 points in the Heightened Senses. And then last but not least, our key passive is going to be Earth Sign Strength. Moving on to our Paragon board, on our starter board, we're grabbing up Exploit because we want that guaranteed vulnerability on the enemies right away. And then we are going to grab up some of the rare nodes just because it gives us some resistances and some extra damage, as well as some extra health here. Moving on to the second board, it is Ancestral Guidance, and we're slotting in Fang and Claw. And of course, we're going to be grabbing up those magic nodes because we get a nice bonus with Fang and Claw with those nodes. And then we're also grabbing up quite a few of the rare nodes and magic nodes here for the core skill damage, as well as the legendary node because we want that big multiplicative damage bonus once we use 75 Spirit, and we do that pretty consistently. Moving on to our third board, that is the Thunderstruck board, and we're slotting in Electrocution here, so we get that big buff to the damage of our Lightning Dancer aspect, as well as that nice multiplicative damage bonus towards enemies affected by our Lightning Dancer bolts, as well as the lightning bolts that we will be casting. And then we're also going and grabbing the legendary node Thunderstruck to get that big multiplicative damage bonus based off of our damage to close and damage to distant enemies damage buckets. After that, we are moving into Constricting Tendrils, and we are going to be slotting in Territorial and picking up all of the Dexterity nodes within range, so that way we continue to buff up our Thunderstruck node. And then from there, we are moving into our fifth board, that is Earth and Devastation, and we are slotting in Spirit here, and that's really just because of the convenience of the board. Then onto our sixth and final board, this is the Lust for Carnage board, and we're slotting in Guzzler here, and we're also picking up the Legendary node just to give us a little bit more Spirit regeneration off our critical strikes, and we're going to be getting quite a lot of crit hits because we are using the Waxing Gibbous, and let me tell you guys, you'll never run out of Spirit with this build, trust me. Also, we're going to be picking up as many intelligence nodes as we can on this board because of how well Guzzler scales, and the amount of damage you can actually get out of that glyph is pretty nice. But that's really it for the video, guys. I hope you like this build. I hope you get to test it out, and I hope you have as much fun as I am with this build. Even if it's not your favorite build for the Gauntlet, I hope it does inspire some creativity for you guys and allow you guys to really create something of your own and have a great time blasting the Gauntlet like I'm going to be doing. Now, with that being said, I will be streaming after this and leveling up my hardcore character so I can get that build out to you guys as soon as possible. And tomorrow, you better believe we are going to be blasting Gauntlet like crazy, so do tune in for that stream because we're going to be going over the entire dungeon as well as strategizing for solo, 2-man, 3-man, and 4-man group play. But as always, let me know what you guys think down in the comments section and even possibly share some of your ideas for the Gauntlet so that way we can all have a great time competing for that top spot. But anyways, I hope you guys are having a great day or a great night depending on wherever you're from, and peace out, guys. I will see you in the next one.